A very warm welcome to you all from all the staff and children at Weeke. We have really enjoyed the opportunity to meet your children in their nursery settings, the induction afternoon and at your homes over the past few weeks. We're really looking forward to September when your children start school. So the idea of this meeting today is to give you a little more information about early years at Weeke. So by the end of the meeting, you will know what it is like in early years at Weeke Primary, what a typical day looks like, what your child will need for their first day, and how we will communicate with you. So first of all, I'd like to introduce you to the early years team. So these people on this page, I'm sure you're all familiar with. So the first person, Miss Claire Marshman. So I'm the teacher in Ash class and I work in class on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. And then I am out of class on Thursday. And I'm also the leader of learning in the early years. And then in Ash class, I work alongside Mrs. Jenny O'Shea, and she works in Ash class teaching on Thursday and Friday. And then Miss Sarah Cross, she is the teacher in Oak class all week. And we're really lucky in early years to have 4 LSAs, and LSAs are learning support assistants. And we have Mrs. Cajales, Mrs. Norman, Mrs. Kemp and Mr. Seath. So at Weeke we offer continuous provision, and our environment inside and out has many different areas. In each area is a core range of resources that the children can access all the time. The resources remain constant through the year, offering a familiar environment in which they can develop sustained play, practice new skills and extend their ideas over time. The open shelving houses a carefully selected range of resources which encourage independence when the children are choosing their own learning. And lots of people ask me when we've explained continuous provision to people before, that are the resources that are on the shelves, are they the only things that come out for the children throughout the whole year? And the answer is no, that we have lots of things that may come out and visit and go onto the shelves for periods of time throughout the year, and we call these enhancements. Or there might be things that come onto the shelves which we call enrichments, which might be once we've taught something. So for example in maths, once we've taught weight, then some weighing scales will go onto the shelves, because then the children will have a bit more of an idea of how to use them. So school times. So the key school times that you will need to know about are 8:40 is when the school gates open, and they're open between 8:40 and 8:50, and at 8:50 the doors close. And if your child arrives after then, they'll have to come into school through the office. So at this time, we will, as the teachers, be ready to greet you on the door, and you will say goodbye to your children on the playground, and they will make their way through the hall and into the early years classrooms independently. At 11:45 to 12:45, this is when your child will have lunch. They will eat their lunch in the dining hall first, and then they will either go onto the field or the playground for their lunchtime play. And then school finishes at 3:30, and at this point the children will come and they will sit in the hall, and the teachers will call their names when we can see you, the parents and carers, on the playground, and then they will come out to join you. So what does a typical day look like in early years? So as I said on the previous slide, school starts at 8:40, and the children can start to come into the classrooms from that time. And between 8:40 and 9 o'clock, the children will come in, they'll hang their coats up and they'll put their belongings away. And each morning they will have an early morning job, and this might be sharing a book with other children in the class. It might be that they're practicing to write their name, or doing a fine motor activity such as threading beads. And during this time the register will also be taken, and the children will also make their lunch choice. And it's a really good idea to chat about this at home in the morning so that the children are prepared for this when they're asked this question in school. So from about 9 o'clock to 9:15, there is a phonics session on the carpet, and this is a whole class session. At the beginning of the year, when your children first start school, it probably actually won't be 15 minutes long. We find they can't sit for that long on the carpet at the beginning of the year, but it will be a short, snappy session of phonics, which is all about teaching your child how to read. And then from 9:15 to about 10 o'clock, the children will then be able to go off into the continuous provision, and they will be able to choose their learning. And during this time, they can choose to explore Ashside or Oakside, and the outside environment is also open every day. So they can choose wherever they want to go and explore. And then at 10 o'clock, the children will come back to the carpet, and usually there is another input, and that is another input from the teacher, and that's normally linked to literacy, so the key text that we might be looking at, or it might be linked to the topic for that half term. And then at around 10:10, the children will again go off again into continuous provision, where they choose their learning, and then towards the end of that time, we'll have a big tidy up time for the end of the morning, and at 11:15 the children will split off into small groups where they will go with a member of staff to have a reading session, and these are brilliant in helping your children to read, and being sort of in these small groups makes a really big difference. And then at 11:30, the children come back together, and this is where we wash our hands, go to the toilet, and we get ready for lunch. And usually we have a story or do some singing around that time. So the children have lunch, and then they would return back into the classroom at 1:45. And for the first sort of 5 to 10 minutes, we usually have some relaxation time after lunch. And this is a time for the children to listen to some calm music, or do some simple calming exercises, or listen to a story. We find that this really helps them to kind of reset, ready for their learning in the afternoon. And during this time, the register is also taken. And then the next thing that happens is they'll have a math session. And again, this is something that's led all together on the carpet and is very active. So they'll have that, and then at 1:10, the children will go off into continuous provision again, where they can choose their learning. And at 2 o'clock, we will have a break time, and that will be either on the field or on the playground, dependent on weather. And then they'll come in again, and they'll have some more time in continuous provision. And during the end of that session, again, we'll have a really big tidy up for the end of the day. And then at 2:45, the children come together and they do some sort of fine or gross motor tasks. So this might include doing do disco, or doing some letter formation, something like that towards the end of the day. And then at 3 o'clock, we will always have story time or singing. And then at around 3:15, the children start to gather their belongings, and we go into the hall for home time. So as you can see, it's quite a busy day for them, and there's lots of different small teaching sessions that we have throughout the day. But you can see that actually they have a lot of time where they can actually be off in continuous provision, choosing what they want to learn and be learning independently or with their friends, and things like that. So what will your child need when starting school? So you will have already been sent a list of uniform and things that you need from Caroline in the office, but I just thought I would go over a few things. So you can see here the kind of key pictures of the school uniform. So red jumper, it doesn't have to have the school logo on it, but it obviously can. And really important for your child to have a water bottle in with them every day with fresh water. The PE kit, again, really key that we have that when it's kept in school. So red shorts, some trainers or plimsolls, a white t-shirt, which or it could be a white t-shirt, or it could be a coloured one for whichever house they're in, if some of you have got siblings that already are at the school, and then some jogging bottoms. The other thing that we really recommend that you have in school all the time is a coat with a hood, a waterproof jacket, some wellies, and a spare set of clothes, because the children can be outside in all weathers. So whether it's raining or it's muddy outside, the children are always allowed to go outside. So we do tend to find that some children can get very muddy and wet. So it's a really good idea to have a spare set in school. And we also do really recommend buying second hand at this age, because like I said, the children do get really wet and muddy. So there really is no need for you to buy brand new clothes. And I know that the WPSA have set up lots of used stalls and things like that where you can then buy uniform from them. And the one thing that I really stress that you do and that you do have ready for September is that everything has a name on it, even socks. You'll be amazed at how much clothing we have to take round to lost property, because we just find at this age the children just don't recognise whether it is theirs. So having your name on everything is really recommended. So lots of people ask about snacks and when their children can have snacks. So in the early years, we actually have a snack table. So snacks and drinks are available for the children whenever they require throughout the day. So there is a choice of water or milk. And the milk is available for your children up until they're 5 years old. So at the beginning of the year, we tend to get a lot of milk that's delivered into school. But if you're really keen for your child to have milk throughout the year, once they turn 5, you then have to pay for that. So that's something you can contact Caroline at the office about. But water is available throughout the day, so they can help themselves from the jugs on the table. But also we recommend that they have their water bottle with them as well. And children are also provided with a piece of fruit each morning as well, or morning or afternoon, whenever they would like. And we're really lucky at school. We do get quite a range of bananas, apples, sometimes strawberries, sometimes tomatoes. So yeah, we're really lucky with a nice selection. So lunch. So all children in early years are entitled to a free school meal, and we do really recommend them. The children really enjoy them, and sometimes it's quite nice for them to have a nice filling hot meal sort of midway through the day. And they have the option of a meat option or vegetarian option or a jacket potato. And you will have been sent the menus already from Caroline, but we have a 3-week rotation of different menus, and the menus change twice a year. And again, just like I said at the beginning, a really good idea to just chat through with your children what they will like that day. It just helps to prepare them for when they come into school that morning. Independence when using the toilet. So one of the most important things that you can do before your child starts school is to equip them to be able to go to the toilet independently. And I know that lots of your children are independent in this already, because it is something that we do ask when we go on the nursery visits, and we ask you at the home visits. So this is kind of a real key thing, that if your child is really not secure with this yet, lots of practice over the summer holidays is really recommended. However, we do realise that accidents do happen, and especially we tend to find sort of in the first few weeks of school, because I think they kind of get so engrossed into all the new things that are going on. So that again is a really good reason why we ask for your child to have a spare change of clothes in school. But we do have lots of spares, just in case that happens. So communication. So how can you communicate with us? So like I said at the beginning, the teachers are on the door in the morning and the afternoon when welcoming your child into school and when sending them home. So if you do have any queries or you want to ask a quick question, then we are there for you at that point in the morning. But we would just make a point that at those times of day it is very busy as you can imagine, with all the children coming in and going at the end of the day. So if you do have something that you want to discuss in more depth, we really would recommend that you either ask to make a time to come and meet us separately, or you can do this by emailing the school office, and then we can arrange a time that suits us both. Now, how do we communicate with you? So often, if we've got any key messages or we want to update you about anything, we will send a parent mail, and these messages you will receive via email. I'm sure lots of you have received some of these already. Another way that we communicate with you about what's happening at school is through an app called Tapestry, and you should have all received an email. Mrs. O'Shea has been setting this up over the last couple of weeks and adding you all to our Tapestry account, but Tapestry is a way that we post lots of pictures of what's happening at school throughout the week. So it isn't necessarily lots of individual things of what your child is doing throughout the week, but might be lots of group shots or class shots about the learning that's taking place, and we find this is lots of parents have really find this beneficial, so that you've got a sort of starting place to have conversations with your children about what they've been doing at school. And as I say, some of you may be familiar with this app already, because I do know some of the local nurseries do use it. If for any reason you haven't received an email about it, please do contact the office and address it to Mrs. O'Shea, as she's the member of staff that is taking responsibility for all this at the moment. So on the 1st of September, so you will have all received this date already, but from 2:30 until 3 o'clock, we are inviting all of you to have some tea and cake at school. So this might be in the school hall, or if we're lucky enough still to have some sunny weather, it might be on the school field. So this will be the final opportunity for you and your child to spend some time with the staff at Weeke. And we did it for the first time last year, and we really would recommend it. We find that the summer holidays, it is a really long time for the children to be kind of away from school and not from visiting like we have done over the last few weeks. So we did find last year that it really did help to remind the children of who we are, what the classrooms look like, what it's like walking in the school gate and up to the the door to walk across the hall into the classrooms, ready for when they then start school on that following Monday. And you can just see on the side here, we've just put up again just to remind you that in that first week, the children will either attend school in the morning or the afternoon, and depending on when your child's birthday is will determine whether they're a morning child or an afternoon child. And then from that second week, from Monday the 11th of September, that's when your child will start to come to school full time. So, and there won't be any mornings or afternoons then. So lots of parents have asked us over the past few years, we often get the question about how we can support our children or your children before starting school. So we put these into your the paper bags that we gave you when we came did your home visits, but there's just some suggestions about a few things about how you can support your children when starting school. So there's some ideas on gross motor skills, fine motor skills, and language and communication. So it might be worth having a look through these just to see the sort of suggestions that we are recommending. But please don't feel that you have to be working your way through these over the summer holidays. Some of the things you'll be able to just maybe incorporate into your everyday things that you're doing. Some of them you may not, but they're just really for your information, and also so you kind of also can sort of start to understand what gross motor skills are, fine motor skills, and things like that. So they're just there as kind of guidance and information for you. Attendance. So attendance is a really key thing that we're really keen at Weeke Primary to get right, and we obviously want your child to be in school all the time at school. It makes such a difference when your child is attending regularly. So we really recommend that you start routines early with them. Make sure that you set aside extra time to get yourselves ready, because obviously this is going to be a new routine for your child and for you in the mornings. And be really clear with your child that going to school is something that they have to do and that it isn't optional. So it's really key to kind of avoid any bad habits sort of at the beginning of the year. And just as we do in the classroom, overpraising positive choices works really, really well. Your child will definitely love like having their name said for making really positive choices sort of in the morning to sort of get them into school. But also know that it isn't always smooth and easy in the mornings, and that if it is a bit of a tricky morning for you, do know that we are here, all the staff at Weeke, to support you when you do arrive to school, whether that's helping to get the children in, whatever you need, we are there to support you. And it's much, much better that your child arrives late at school than not being here at all. But if you are concerned that your child has had lots of absences, and maybe that's due to illness or other things, please do talk to a member of staff. They will be able to help you and advise you with this. And for some reason, sometimes your child might have a doctor's appointment or medical or hospital appointments, and we know that these are inevitable. But if you can try to arrange the appointments after school or towards the end of the day or right at the beginning of the morning, this will help. Now, from September, the school will be fully involved and integrated into an approach, into a well-recognised approach to do with a well-being that supports communication and relationships with parents and carers. And this is called Back to Basics. And in September, we will be sharing more information about this. And we want our school community to develop in collaboration with one another, being mindful of everybody's well-being. And there will be a link attached, or you can actually see the website address here, where you can watch a short video that tells you a little bit more about what Back to Basics is. So thank you very much for listening to the presentation. If any of you do have any further questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. If you have siblings at the school already, you can always come over and talk to one of the early years staff on the door at the beginning or the end of the day. But if you don't, please feel free to email into the office, and they will then pass their emails on to you. So we really look forward to seeing all of you and getting to know you all more in September.